Is the PBOC going to give us 2 reasons today to think twice about shorting this currency?
I think it's pretty clear that over the last 2 months, they've sort of set 2 red lines. So the fixing has been fixed between 7.17 these days, and the highest is 7.20, if you remember.
Yeah.
So that means a limit for spot. We're talking about 7.31 to 7.35. So this is probably the sort of range that we should expect in the near term.
Okay.
So what's going to happen next? I think China is waiting for the dollar to move. So hopefully if the dollar turns before year end, then a weaker dollar can help the Chinese yuan to strengthen as well. But what if the dollar stays strong or even rise further if the Fed stays more hawkish, just like what we heard from Kashkari last night? Then actually the dollar yuan may have to drift higher because the basket is going to be very strong. Because right now, when we're using the fixing, the basket is at 98.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, it's 99. So it's actually sort of flat when we look at the basket that the PBOC wants it to be. So if the rest of the basket currencies weaken against the dollar, that's going to push the basket towards 100. That will give room for the yuan to drop against the dollar.
Yeah, here we go. The reference rate for the day is out. Your reaction, 7.1717.
Interesting.
In what sense?
It's the same.
Still strong?
Still strong, yeah.
What would be the impetus then for... Okay, wait, just a minute. There's another headline coming through. The PBOC Monetary Policy Committee is holding a meeting. Yeah, just to alert our producers. Just keep an eye on this as well if we get any more headlines on this. This is something... Anyway, we'll talk more about this in just a moment. What would be the catalyst for that fixing to move higher in dollar China?
Stronger dollar.
Stronger. So in other words, are we near that point on the basket that the rest of yuan peers are starting to weaken to a point where it doesn't seem feasible right now to hold that fixing below 720?
I totally agree, yes. Since year to date, it's already flat. That's what happened in 2015 when the yuan weakened after the reform. What they did is they launched the basket, and they tell you the basket has been steady despite the drop in dollar yuan. And now it's exactly the same case. The basket has been nearly flat. When it rises a little bit further, that's when the PBOC can sort of let go a little bit of the dollar yuan. Okay,
more headlines coming through out of the PBOC. They'll be vowing, well, they vowed to step up policy coordination at this quarterly meeting right now. What does this mean for the rest of the Asian FX space?
I mean, like, they just have to continue to provide stimulus. But the thing is that, like, for monetary stimulus, we are actually getting stretched. We can see that the room for rate cut is getting less and less. So probably more fiscal stimulus and more target-oriented support for the economy. But for the currency, at the end of the day, it's the dollar and the rate differential.
Okay, and pick your currency under your coverage. Is there any one that stands out right now that perhaps might be about to turn if the dollar doesn't do anything from here?
Well, actually, what's interesting is the Korean won. Because if you remember a few years back, when the market want to short the Chinese currency and they're aware of intervention, the won is usually the one that's being short. And now we see the won actually weaken all the way through 1350. So at least from a bearish standpoint, if you want to sort of go against China's intervention, the won is the candidate.
Very, very quickly, do you think this dollar strength continues? We're up 5 days now.
Yes.
It does, okay.